Welcome to Thoughts on Change, the podcast about the messy, political, emotional, deeply human side of leading change. I'm Kelly, and I believe anyone can implement lean tools until they actually have to get people to use them. Around here, we talk about how to move culture, how to build credibility, and how to influence without bulldozing. Basically, how to herd humans without losing your mind. Welcome back, everybody, to Thoughts on Change. This is a very special episode because this is the first in our CI Warrior interview series, and I'm really excited to have Abby Kovarik on today. Welcome, Abby.
Good morning. Thank you for
Good
having
morning.
me.
Absolutely. Abby is a CI specialist at Raymond Corp. So let's just start off with, Abby, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, thank you. So, my name is Abby. Like Kelly said, I work for Raymond, which is now basically just a brand of Toyota material handling, which is very interesting. Currently, I'm in the business of strengthening and supporting people within the organization. So, I help to support teams to make work clearer, to extend their capabilities within the workplace, and help them solve problems with confidence. So, that's what I'm able to do on a day-to-day basis. I also train Toyota courses within the network and stuff like that. Human resource development piece is what I like to work with.
That's amazing. And I love the way that you frame that you're just there to enable people.
That's the way I like to look at it. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good framing. I expect many of us out there who are in this kind of work frame it that way, right? We're not, although the elevator pitch I give sometimes is, well, I help business be more efficient. But realistically, it's about lifting people up, making work clear. And I love that.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, how to strengthen a business is strengthening the people that work for that business.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's just a core value that you should have, regardless of what you do within that business.
Yeah. Wonderful. And Abby, how long have you worked for Raymond?
So I've been with Raymond for going on 5 years now. So I started in 2021, and it is now 2026. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess they like to say. Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting how I got into this role in this kind of industry in general. I had no idea what I was getting into when I started. I came straight out of college, so continuous improvement. I mean, I didn't take any classes in college that taught me about this stuff.
Yeah. So how did you get into this? How did you get into lean and continuous improvement?
So, like I said, I came straight into this out of college. I was still a college student when I was learning about this because I was an intern at Raymond my senior year of college. I was just a curious student. I was studying information systems and management and leadership at Lemoyne College, which is in Syracuse, New York. So I found this internship at Raymond Corporation, and I was basically just asked to engage in the day-to-day business and get to know people and see where I could help, which was interesting because as somebody who had literally no experience in the real world, I was going in and they were like, learn a little bit about the real world. That was what they said. And I was like, okay, I can do that. So I was going in and I was trying to engage and help. And I had all this opportunity in front of me. And I was asked to manage and help with processes. That was what was asked of me right at the beginning. And I was just so green.
Yeah. And so did you learn like the tools, concepts, principles while you were at the internship or later when you became a full-time employee at Raymond?
Yeah, so that was when it was first brought up to me. I was exposed in such a real, raw way, observing the business on a day-to-day, but also being taught these methodologies and practices and ways of thinking that were completely different to what I was just taught in college.
Interesting. What was so different?
So one example that really sticks with me to this day is the way that it was introduced to me, the inventory waste. The way inventory waste was introduced to me just completely flips traditional management on the top of its head. And
Oh.
I thought about that I was like, wow, yeah, this is just sitting here and not making us any money and costing us money for being here. And in general, you'd think of inventory as something that adds value to your organization. So that's just a funny way to think about it. And that was when I was like, wow, this is interesting. This is
Mm.
different.
Right, right. And so that's that idea that even if having additional inventory where traditional business is like, oh, that's great because then I don't run out. But that is not good because it's cash
Hmm.
sitting there that you could be investing somewhere else. It's space that it's using up.
Hmm.
I love those like bulk buy. I'm saving money. Like, well, I mean, kind of,
I mean,
kind
yeah,
of.
there's this thing called expiration dates, but anyway. So yeah, you don't really want to buy all that milk and keep that milk in our fridge. But anyway, that's the side
Hmm.
of the story. So Muda in general,
Mm,
the idea of Muda
mm,
entering into this workspace that I was super fresh to, I saw it everywhere,
yeah.
and nobody else was being taught that at that time. Raymond in general isn't extremely new with the idea of continuous improvement, but there still is some of that old culture that's rooted
Mm.
within our day to day. So it's there, and me being fresh new college student, nobody knows who I am. I can see this stuff though, and I'm going to tell you about it. And I mean, maybe they didn't want to hear about it, but I told them anyway. And that's how I was introduced to the industry. I was introduced to
Oh,
the
wow.
industry as that curious George who is
I
just
love that.
asking everyone questions because that's what I was asked to do as an intern.
Yeah. That's awesome. I have so many questions leading off of that, but
Mhm.
I want to go back to something because I'm going to not make the assumption that not all of our listeners necessarily know what Muda is. So, Abby, can you
Mm.
give us a quick intro to what is Muda? What is this concept?
Yeah, so Muda is anything that doesn't add value to your organization. That's the simplest way to define it. And something about Muda is, well, what we like to do is we put an acronym to it. So we call it TIMWOOD. There's those 8, or is it 8? No, that's 7. But there is 8 ways. The only 7 is called out in TIMWOOD. But you could say Tim Woods for the last one there. Those are the 8 forms of waste that you can find within an organization. So I can go
Awesome.
through them if you would like
Yes,
me
please.
to.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just do
So
a quick what are each of them? Because you never know. It's
yeah.
nice to hear a different perspective and different examples too from other
No,
people in the
that's actually
industries.
a really good point. I didn't think about that. So Tim Wood, T is for transportation waste. So that is any time that you're going to be moving material or anything within the process more than you necessarily should be. I is inventory waste, which we were talking about earlier, having too much more than what your customer is willing to pay for or willing to buy. It's just sitting on your shelf costing you money. M is motion waste. So this we like to use in an ergonomic way. So it has to do with the motion of the operator or the motion of the value of that process being too much. So if the way that your workspace is set up makes you have to maneuver yourself like a crazy person, then that would be motion waste. So that's Tim. And then W is waiting. So anytime in your process when the amount of time that it takes earlier on in the process makes you have to wait for you to start your process or vice versa. Anytime that you have to sit idle or any material has to sit idle, that is called waiting. So that is no good. That's not making us money
It's no good.
anytime we're
And it's
waiting.
like boring. I
Oh
I
my
love
goodness. Yeah.
talking to people about, well, time is a waste. I'm like, I mean, it is if you're waiting for stuff or doing the things. Waiting is painful.
Yeah.
All right, carry on.
Of course, of course. So there's 2 O's. So the first O is over processing. So anytime that you put too much work into a product or service than the customer is willing to pay for. So that might have to do with something was done incorrectly to begin with, so you had to rework it. That would be over processing. Or maybe you wrapped it too much, like you're sending out a project and you send it with way too much string wrap than is necessary, then that would also be that over processing because you spent way too much time on that wasn't necessary. And then we have overproduction, which is when, again, there's just more than the customer is willing to pay for. And that one is more generally based, I would say,
Mhm.
because it talks about just overproduction in the general sense of absolutely everything that you could possibly produce. And that
Mm,
also, it's people and processes and information, everything.
right, right.
And then our D at the end is defects. So defects within your process are always going to be considered a waste, and we're always going to try to be rooting those out. And then the last waste, which again is this is another one that I don't know why we don't bring a lot of attention to this waste. I find this one to be very important in our line of work specifically, I would say, because we work with people. So unused skills is the last form of waste. And this form of waste is something that can happen in a system when people aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
So unused skills is when there's individuals that are not being used to their fullest capacity within the organization, and that is a waste for the organization to
Yeah. And for
underutilize
those
their people.
people.
Yeah, and for those people, correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I agree. That's a waste. It's like the unsung, you're not hero because it's not a good thing, but it's the unsung
Yeah,
waste that needs to be brought up more frequently because it drives engagement, right? People who aren't fully utilized or feel like they're valued don't want to work, don't want to come and
yeah,
fully develop themselves and put themselves into the work. So that's why people leave.
yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Thanks, Abby, for taking us through that. So back to your story and your history. So you went
Yeah,
to this internship, learned all about Muda, and was thrown into the deep end, it sounds like, from
exactly.
a like process and manufacturing perspective. So take us through, how did you decide to transition into a CI role, and what was that like starting out in that role?
So I knew immediately when I was introduced to these topics and this way of doing business that there was going to be no going back for me. Like this seemed like the clear best way, best practice. Why would I do anything different kind of thing? So I wanted to find a way to strengthen that within the organization. And so I knew that the role that I needed to play was continuous improvement, CI. I
Yeah.
just knew. It was kind of like I didn't really make the decision. It was just it happened and it flowed naturally for me to play that role within the organization based upon the experiences that I had early on. It's lucky. It's like I was still a college student. I was going to these college classes and I was like, I know what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Oh,
And everyone's like, okay. And I was like, no, truly. And it's exciting and you should want to do it too. And that was just everyone was like, Abby is this Toyota freak. That's what everyone thought. I guarantee
oh,
it.
that's so funny. And I think, this is not the first time I've met somebody, or like personally, I'm like that too, where you learn about this and it just makes so much sense that you can't see any other way. And I imagine we drive other people crazy all the time.
I know. That's the part where we can create our own challenges sometimes. Uh,
Yeah. So let's talk about challenges. So you're a young woman in, let's face it, a male dominated industry,
mhm.
coming into this role, which I'll be honest, not everybody loves CI people. I think we've kind of just painted that picture.
Yeah.
So, what was it like coming into the org, and what were the challenges that you faced over the last 5 years as a CI practitioner and person in the organization, but then as a woman in that role in this male dominated organization?
Talk about a loaded question,
I know. I'm
Kelly.
sorry.
No, I know. No, it's real. It's exactly what the people want to hear, right? Like you said, it is a male dominated field. There's some women within the organization and we're strengthening that piece. I actually have a network within Raymond it's the women's networking group. Women are a part of it and we all send each other stuff and we engage with each other. We try to strengthen each other's networks. And it's important to remember that we truly are a minority within this organization and we have to work to strengthen that and show ourselves as valuable as we are, right? So the challenges that I experienced, I guess early on were different, obviously, as I learned throughout the 5 years. So the early on challenges had everything to do with how I controlled my emotions, I would say, like how
Oh,
I carried myself in these rooms because I was being challenged on a day-to-day basis against people that maybe I didn't necessarily feel comfortable being challenged against that early in my career. Um, Very young woman working in this industry was not necessarily easy for me to keep my cool.
yeah.
But I'm a very strong woman, so I always kept my story. I never changed my mind, which is why I'm still here today. And I'm proud of myself for that because I guess I could have hopped off the wagon a long time
Mm,
ago, but I never did. But it's because of those people that have challenged me in the past is why I'm as strong as I am today and why I'm able to communicate the way that I am today. And I'm able to control my emotions the way that I am today because I've learned throughout the years by being challenged by these resistors.
Yeah. That's such an excellent point because being in CI, we are naturally kind of challenging status quo, pushing people out of their comfort zone, which means people are going to lash out. That's a natural response when you're challenging their cherished beliefs and the systems that they've been working in and living in for a long time. And so as a new, just not only a new person, but a woman with all these men around you, like kudos to you for standing your ground because I know like in my experience, I've definitely had moments of rolling over and then after been like, "Oh, why did I do that?" But there's so much pressure. So that's incredible that you've been able to hold that.
Yeah, and you obviously pick your battles, right? There's some times where you don't actually give in, but you have to walk away or something like that. Otherwise, it might not be the best look for you. But yeah, early on, I really struggled with being like, how do you guys not understand that this is the right way of doing it? That was like,
Mhm,
how is it?
mhm,
How am I having this fight? But I didn't see the human piece to it, that I'm taking away the way that they feel comfortable within their day to day.
mhm.
I didn't see that piece so early on. So I was so intense. I was so intense. I would love to see this young version of myself and just be like, calm down. You scare everyone. Yeah.
I love this image.
What do you love about the image, Kelly?
I love the image. Well, I love the image because there's a lot of negative bias and thought around women have to be submissive. And we play into that. And I know I've played into that in the past, but I love seeing the opposite be true as well. And I think this just goes to show, hey, everybody, women have both sides and
Mhm.
we can be both sides. And honestly, I also love thinking about this because I've known you now for a little bit and
Yeah.
it's such a funny image compared to the Abby that I know right now.
I know. You didn't know this Abby. And there's still people that I work with within the industry that knew this Abby and they've seen me grow and
Mm,
I'm blessed to have that still because I think
yeah.
that that's really special.
What helped you like realize that you were a bit intense and that there was this human element to change that you weren't seeing? Like what happened for you?
So for me, it was my inability to translate my passion in a professional way.
Mhm,
I needed to find a way to relate to these individuals' passion as well and drive that human connection towards greater good.
mm,
Like we were saying, this is a male dominated field, and males don't necessarily have the strongest ability to show and harness emotion and care without it feeling toxic in a way, I would
mm,
say. Like
mhm,
then you get the toxic masculinity kind of mantra going.
mm.
So it was new for the environment that I was entering and to bring such raw emotion. But
Gotcha.
I don't think that that was a bad thing for the environment. It was just new.
Yeah.
And I think my emotional depth is what allowed me to care and what continues to allow me to be my authentic self
Mhm.
and care as deeply as I do. And this alone is bringing that human element into this warehouse environment that hasn't had that. And I think once that passion was accepted more by the environment, it was easier for me to continue on with my work. It just was kind of like a blend, I would say,
Mhm.
of compromise, seeing that like my outputs weren't hitting correctly. So I kind of just
Mm.
had to reroute them a little bit, but realize that the core of my emotional depth and my care, it needs to still be there, or else,
You're not you.
yeah, I'm not me. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That's wonderful. Just shout out to women in CI roles because I think it is our capacity for deep caring and that emotional depth, as you said, that makes us really excellent CI practitioners. And then it's just a matter of, to your point, how do we communicate that effectively? Because we are very good generally, this is a generalization, I understand that, women are pretty damn good at caring and recognizing the humanity in others and making that bridge and link with people through empathy. And that is so important when we're asking people to change. And that is scary stuff.
Mhm.
So women, I think, are some of the best. I've met some men that are very good too,
Yeah,
but
so have I. So have I.
we just have that natural ability. And
Yeah.
so I would love to see, this is why more women in
Mhm.
CI,
Same. More women in CI.
more women. So Abby, I love that we're talking about this like emotional and human side of being a change leader and how important the human element and the emotional element is to change and this practice. And I want to turn us to, I know you and we've worked together for a few months and I enjoyed it.
So did
It
I.
was great. Abby and I did some coaching together. And Abby, I'd love if you would just share working with me through that. What was the most impactful and important thing that you learned? And how is that changing how you're kicking butt in this role?
Yeah. So Kelly and I spent, what was it? We started in September, I think. Yeah, we started in September. We spent 12 weeks together of coaching, and Kelly created a routine for me, really. She created a safe space for me to reflect on my own personal outputs, which was new. No one has ever no one had ever given me that lens before, which Kelly was able to do, and I was able to slow down, which I was never doing before. So Kelly definitely helped me do that. So Kelly helped me slow down. She helped me see my thought patterns more clearly, and she helped me identify reoccurring loops in the way that I behaved and the way that I worked. And these reoccurring loops were in control, and they were in how I expressed my emotions, how I showed up for others, and the way that that control kind of hindered their ability to grow. So I just have a brand new sense of how to be intentional in my day to day because of what I learned from you, Kelly. Truly.
That's amazing. And Abby, I loved every moment working with you. You are an inspiring woman in this industry. And so this is
Thank you.
why I wanted you to be on here because I think more women need to see people like you standing up, holding your ground. And yes, we all have rough edges that we have to smooth and work on over
Mhm,
time. We never stop growing in this
mhm.
kind of role or in life. And so I'm so grateful to have gotten the chance to know you and work with you and to see the amazing stuff you're still doing. So tell me what's going on with you now? How are things going? Like, is that what's changed? What hasn't? And
Yeah.
what's next?
So now, after changing my approach in the way that I do continuous improvement work within the Raymond Corporation, instead of being the doer, because that's everyone loves for us to be the doers. It's
Mhm.
so much easier for everyone else when we're the doers, but it actually doesn't change the culture at all when we're the doers. So the change is now within the culture, or at least that's where my team is looking for the change. So as you know, the goal of continuous improvement is to change the way that the whole organization views lean management in general.
Mhm.
It's not supposed to be seen as like this extra thing. It's supposed to be seen as how we do business. So I think that that's currently the change that I'm experiencing in the way that I work every day, because I don't want them to see it as extra anymore. I want them to pick it as a way to just do. It's just a way that
Yeah.
they do. I don't want them to have to second guess it at all, and so I have to make it palatable
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
that.
And that means not doing it ourselves because they got to
Yeah.
learn.
So, yeah, there's definitely this push right now to get leadership's full engagement so
Mhm.
that it is fully supported and my coaching is more accepted within the organization. That
Mhm.
is definitely the newest pull, and I think that
Mm.
there's a lot of tension sometimes. I think that people in our roles can feel between leadership and the work that we do sometimes,
Mhm.
because we want leadership to support this cause, right? And
Mhm.
but leadership thinks that supporting the cause is just letting you do what you do, but that's not necessarily the case.
Changing the way people lead even is required.
Exactly. It is.
And that comes, right back to, hey, we're asking people to do something different.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're managing up now. We're trying to coach lean in the way that they manage instead of just the way that we do business. It's got to be through and through. And like I said earlier on, like my organization is a subsidiary of Toyota Material Handling, which definitely helps with the culture, but that doesn't mean that we're the golden culture either.
And I imagine even Toyota has their struggles, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yep.
It's a constant battle, a constant evolving and working system.
Yeah. Everyone brings their own mental models to the game, and it's our job to create that central story and value and mission that everyone wants to show up for every day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, amazing. Well, Abby, I think to close us out, what advice would you give either a younger you or just other fellow women CI warriors out there? Like if you could tell them anything, what would it be?
I would say you don't need to fix things to be valuable.
That's deep.
Yes, it's deep because we think that we need to be the fixers. I still consider myself a fixer because I'm gathering the puzzle now. I'm not putting the puzzle together. I'm just actually getting the puzzle all in the same space.
Yeah. And creating the conditions for them to put the puzzle together themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm still extremely needed and necessary and valuable within the organization, even if I'm not putting the puzzle together.
Yeah.
And it's our job to get leadership to see that value, I guess. But I hate that part, but whatever. To be real, I hate that part, but whatever.
It's hard. That's the hard. There's always some hard part that's like, a little cringy.
Yeah.
But we do it anyway.
We do it anyway. And if you show up every day and you put your best foot forward and you lead with your heart, right? Because we're not doing this for any further agenda. Like I don't have, like there's no other reason for me to be doing this outside of just the fact that I want your work to feel easier for you. I want you to be able to go home every day to your family and to your hobbies outside of what you do here at work. Even though you're extremely valuable here, this is not your whole life. And we just want to make sure to do this the best way possible.
Beautifully said. What a way to end this episode. I'm so grateful, Abby. Thank you so much for coming on to Thoughts on Change and having this really wonderful conversation with me.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to see how this podcast grows and see all the fun things that. No, I know. I know. It's very cool that you're doing this.
Oh, thank you. It's all an experiment. That's what I keep telling myself. Everything's an experiment.
Yeah.
So, Abby, if listeners want to connect with you, what's the best way?
So you'll link my LinkedIn.
I will. Yes, I'll put everything in the show notes.
Okay, cool. So my LinkedIn account, if you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, that would be a great way for us to connect. I would love to communicate with absolutely anyone with this kind of stuff. So please reach out.
Yeah, let's build a bigger, broader network of CI warriors out there. So connect with Abby. If you're enjoying listening to this, follow Thoughts on Change and myself, Kelly Mallery, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, YouTube, all the normal channels. And you can get this wherever you listen to podcasts. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
That's a wrap for this episode of Thoughts on Change. If you're also out there trying to move culture instead of just installing tools, hit subscribe and share this with a fellow CI warrior. And remember, progress beats perfection, curiosity beats control, and culture beats everything. See you next time.